In a world where the all-conquering SUV has pretty much already killed off sedans and remains an existential threat to conventional hatchbacks, there's one variant of the hatchback that continues to punch on, and it's this car, the hot hatch. Now, maybe that's because in Europe, this is a default setting for a performance car, but even in dual cab ute obsessed Australia, cars like this continue to carve out their niche. And this is one of them, but this is the granddaddy of them all. This is the mighty Golf GTI. So the question is, even though it's been updated for 2025, can a conventional ICE-powered front-wheel drive hatchback without a high ride height or a range-extending battery still be a relevant performance car? Well, let's find out.
The new GTI is not a cheap small hatchback by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, the price tag of $58,990 plus on-road costs will have many looking the other way. But it pays to remember that you're buying a popular, if not legendary, member of the VW family here, and the GTI badge is its own justification for keen drivers in the know. Standard equipment now runs to 19-inch alloys, tartan cloth trim with leather optional, digital radio, a good quality stereo, adaptive suspension, adaptive steering, and even a self-parking function. Option packs include the leather, a powered driver's seat and heating and ventilation for those front chairs. To be honest, at this price, we reckon the heated, ventilated and powered seats should be standard, along with the head-up display that also costs more. At least the GTI now comes in metallic colours at no extra cost. You'll spot the upgraded Golf GTI 8.5 by the slightly revised front and rear bumpers, headlights and taillights. There's also a new alloy wheel design that recalls the fabulous Golf 5 GTI of a couple of decades ago. Inside, the big philosophical change has been a return to physical steering wheel buttons and a cluster of buttons for commonly used functions. In the process, VW has tackled the major ergonomic criticism of the previous Golf GTI.
So let's talk about the inside of this car. Now, it's pretty rare for a company like Volkswagen to cop a lot of criticism on the basis of ergonomics, but the pre-facelift version of this car copped just that. And it was all because some of the switchgear seemed a little bit fiddly and the buttons on the steering wheel, some of them were sort of touch sensitive. So it's gone away from that. It's gone to proper physical buttons on the steering wheel, which is good news. And it's added a lot of sort of common use buttons on the top of the info screen and just under it between the air vents, and those are the functions you use most, and they're now much more accessible, so they've fixed the problems. In terms of the rest of the cabin, well, you can actually quite easily see that Volkswagen is a somewhat close relative of Audi because there's a lot of that smooth boardroom finish. It's a really slick place to be. It's got the animated dashboard, which works very well with selectable views of what you see and what you don't want to see at the time. It's got a head-up display. The screen's nice and big in the GTI. It's got it all going on. This car has the standard seating, which means you get tartan trim. Now, who'd have thought in 2025 tartan trim would work? But I tell you what, it really does. It gives the car a little bit of character without being over the top. If you don't like it, there's leather optional, but I really like the tartan. I think it suits the car and it suits the actual mood and pays a bit of respect to that GTI heritage. And let's face it, in 2025, you know, a lot of cars are tapping into that nostalgia vein, and this car does it very successfully. So what about the actual seating? Well, it's actually very generous in the front. I mean, it does fit big people. What you won't get, however, is a 6-footer sitting behind another 6-footer, you know, in the front and rear seat. It's just not going to happen. There's not enough knee room. Plenty of foot room, plenty of headroom, not enough knee room. And that's just a function of the physical size of the car. And we call it a small hatchback. It's not really a small car anymore, but it's perfect for a family with a couple of little kids rather than teenagers, I would say. The rear seat is clever. It's got a ski port to allow long loads through when you're not using that rear center seat. And when you're not using that, you can fold down an armrest, which forms a couple of cup holders or a little riding bench. It's actually really clever. The rear seat is also split 60-40. So it's a very practical load area, which even with the rear seats in place will swallow, I think it's 374 litres of luggage. So again, it fulfills that Golf brief of being a very practical car. in terms of practicality, it's got it all going on. There's 2 USB ports in the front, there's 2 in the rear, there are air vents in the rear, there are reading lights in the rear, dual sun visors in the front with illuminated vanity mirrors. It's got everything you'd expect, and nice deep door pockets. The front door pockets will fit a bottle, a full-size bottle, and there's even pockets in the back. It's a well thought out car. It's a very resolved design, as you would expect for something with the history of the Golf GTI. Of course, the secret to any hot hatch and where the magic happens is under the bonnet. Now, in this case, this is a very familiar engine to Volkswagen fans. It's the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged motor. These days, though, it makes 195 kilowatts, which is plenty, and lots of torque. What you won't find is an electric motor or a hybrid system of any sort to give it a boost. This is a very conventional, very traditional internal combustion engine powered car. It's also front-wheel drive, which is what a hot hatch should be, let's face it. The concession to modern times and efficiency is in the transmission. There's no more 6-speed manual. That's a bit of a shame in my book, but Volkswagen has chased efficiency and is stuck with the 7-speed dual clutch DSG gearbox, which is also pretty familiar and also a pretty well proven unit. So let's see what it's like on the road. The big question, of course, is what does this car drive like? I mean, in 2025, when there's so many EVs that can get to 100 Ks in under 4 seconds, this car could seem like a bit of a dinosaur, but I tell you what, it is not. And it's not because it's a balanced, rounded package. It's not the one-trick pony that a lot of performance cars are. This thing's got it all going on. The front differential in this car is very clever. It's got a system that senses what wheel has the most grip, and that's where it channels the torque. Very clever, and it makes you realise that front-wheel drive cars can work. I mean, if you've never driven a good front driver, you need to drive this, because you'll come away going, wow, that works. That is a genuine performance chassis. And in fact, it's kind of a disruptor in the Volkswagen lineup, this car, I think, because a lot of people are going to drive this and go, well, do I really need the all-wheel drive Golf R? And my answer would be, no, you probably don't. And this car is a little bit lighter for the fact that it's only front-wheel drive. And you know, if there's a trade-off, I don't know what it is. It's on good, big, sticky tyres, which obviously make a difference. But overall, this car is an absolute delight. The gearbox works very, very well in terms of seamless shifts. It works very well with the paddles too, and because it's a dual clutch gearbox, which is basically a manual where the robot does the shifting for you, it's absolutely faithful to the commands through the shift paddles. So there's none of that mucking around waiting for it to select a gear. It is instant, and it is sharp, and it's smooth as silk at any other time. The engine's gorgeous. I mean, how they've managed to keep updating this old engine to keep producing the goods is quite amazing. But they have, and the engine isn't as fiery as some turbo motors, okay? But what it's got is a rounded sort of feel to it, where the torque curve is is quite flat by the standards of this sort of thing. And it allows you to basically pick a gear, any gear, floor the throttle, and you will get some performance out of it. It's amazing. And the longer you drive this car, the more you realise what it's got to offer. It's not as instantly gratifying as some of the hot hatches out there, but what it does do is it builds your confidence, and it flatters a good driver. It flatters a bad driver, I imagine. I hope that doesn't include me, but it flatters a good driver, and a really good driver is going to look like a Formula One superstar at the wheel of this car. And I think on a twisty mountain road, kind of like what I'm on now, this car is going to be as fast as a lot of really exotic performance cars, and that's because it's kind of foolproof. It doesn't suck you in too far and get you out of your depth, but it's always telling you, hey, you know what, I've got a little bit more grip here if you want it. If you want to change lines mid-corner to miss a pothole, and Lord knows we're in Victoria, there's plenty of those, it'll do it, and it'll do it without tipping you into the scrub. It's an amazing, a confidence-inspiring piece of kit, this, and it just proves that the evolution of the GTI has had benefits in terms of starting with a clean sheet every time, as many manufacturers do when they make their next performance car. This has been sort of honed from a lump of rock to drive. It feels it, and it is absolutely 100% not going to do anything that scares you. Where the limit is, I don't know. I haven't reached it yet, and I don't plan to, but in every way, this is a really well-rounded performance car. You're going to love it.
VW claims an official combined fuel consumption figure of 7.2 litres per 100 kilometres for the GTI. We managed to get relatively close to that in testing, but spirited driving will see the average number top 10 litres per 100 kilometres. The 50 litre tank gives the car a useful range of somewhere between 550 and 650 kilometres. The new Golf GTI has 9 airbags, and this time around a centre front airbag is the big safety addition. And it makes the Golf, with its 5-star safety rating from Euro NCAP testing a few years back, even safer. There's also the usual raft of driver aids, including autonomous emergency braking, pedestrian identification, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert and lane keeping assistance. You also get adaptive cruise control and a reversing camera. But where is the tyre pressure monitoring system? A car like this should have that. VW's 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty applies to the GTI, and there will be cap price servicing with exact prices to be announced. But bear in mind the previous model's first 5 services could be capped at about $2,100, which is hardly the cheapest out there. Keep in mind too that the GTI requires 95 octane unleaded, which is always a few cents dearer than the standard brew.
So where does this leave what is technically an old design? It's, you could argue that this is a dinosaur of a car. There's no EV, there's no plug-in, but you'd be missing the point. The point of this car is the purity. The fact that it is an ICE-powered front-wheel drive hot hatch. It's a classic design. And that's the thing about classics. Even though technology might move on in other areas, the original is often the best. And I think if you want a driver's hatchback, then this car is probably one of the top 3 that you could look at. And who knows, it could even emerge as the best. Certainly, that's the history of the GTI. It has been the pinnacle and it has been the benchmark for so long. And I don't really see that much has changed in this car. Yes, there are other cars, there are other hot hatches that are more immediately gratifying, but I don't think that matters, because here's the thing about this car. The longer you own it, the more you discover about it, and the deeper its pool of talent gets. It's kind of like being in a relationship and finding out that 6 months in, your girlfriend can MIG weld, and you never knew that. And that's this car. The more you drive it, the longer you own it, the more it's going to surprise you with how capable it is and how much depth of field you get with a car like this. It's not cheap, but I tell you what, if you want a hot hatch and you don't look at this, you're mad. You want your head red.